Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's WinterhelmGames and we are back with some more Twisted Tales. So I want to keep these going every so often as well. This one is 4 true creepy winter night horror stories. So let's have a look at this one. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Head over to Twisted Tales and give them some love. Let them know that I sent you across. Let's get into it. Let's see which one was the creepiest.
When I was just a 7th grader, my parents had started trusting me to be home alone. On one dark and snowy night, while my parents were out, I was left to my own devices. I was heavy into gaming then, so I would just play video games for hours in our basement. Our basement was really huge, and as kids, my older brother and I used to scare each other with tales of the unseen lurking in the shadows. The fear had faded with age, but a twinge of unease remained, especially when I was home alone. As I got in my video game session, a sudden crash at the basement window shattered the quiet night. Startled, I jumped up from my couch, thinking that the noise had to be falling icicles or something. However, the second loud bang shattered my icicle theory. Someone was outside, either hitting the window or throwing snowballs at it. Convinced it was my brother Kyle playing a prank, I went out into the backyard in only my slippers. The cold snow bit at my feet as I called out Kyle's name. Peering beyond the brick wall, I spotted someone hiding in the bushes. Assuming it was Kyle, I called him a dweeb for not letting me know he was home. However, the more I looked, the more my certainty wavered. Doubt crept in, and I hurried back inside and locked the door. A call to my mom revealed that Kyle was actually still at a friend's house and staying over for the weekend. It was then that I realized there was an intruder in our backyard. My dad got on the phone and told me to stay put while he called the police. Alone in the house, I peered out my window and saw the mysterious hooded man roaming the backyard. The way he creeped about let me know that this was not just some prank. He definitely had something more disturbing in mind. It seemed like it was taking forever for the police to arrive as I sat and watched this guy peer through our windows and attempt to open them. I huddled in the corner of my room with the lights off, watching in terror as the stranger tried his best to get into our house. Relief washed over me when the police finally arrived. The officer inspected the property, finding footprints around the side and back of the house, but no trespasser. He assured me he would stick around until my parents came home. I now think that the guy only threw snowballs to see if anyone was home before trying to break in.
Probably.
And even after I came outside, he knew I was alone, so decided to go ahead with his plan since I was just a kid. When my parents finally arrived, the presence of the police eased my anxiety. The mysterious visitor had vanished, leaving behind a chilling tale of a snowy night stranger, their motives shrouded in uncertainty. The incident may have been a twisted prank, and to this day, I never found out who it was lurking in our backyard that night. In the heart of a bitter Michigan.
So that's story number 1. Yeah, definitely creepy. I mean, whenever you look at situations like that where you suspect it to be a neighbor or perhaps a younger brother or whoever, and then realizing it's not, I mean, yeah, you would be making sure everything is completely locked up and holding up somewhere in the house until parents or police or someone came. But yeah, that was definitely it was quite an interesting story, but definitely a good one. Let me see if story number 2 can do any better.
In winter, the city lay beneath a soft, snowy blanket, its streets adorned with beautiful holiday lights. Excitement filled me as I prepared for a rare night out with my boyfriend, Mark. As I wrapped a warm scarf around my neck, a strange text message came through on my phone. It said, "Be careful tonight." The sender was unknown, and the message kind of creeped me out.
Very big.
I showed my boyfriend the text message, but he just shrugged it off and said that maybe one of my friends was probably playing a prank on me. But I know I hadn't told anyone about the night we had planned. Trying to not let the strange message ruin this evening I had been looking forward to, Mark and I headed out to catch a movie at an old movie theater on the outskirts of town. The streets, adorned with holiday decorations, appeared cheerful, yet the mysterious message lingered in the back of my mind. Inside the
was thinking before that, I was just looking at the photograph and seeing how the seats in the movie theater are facing each other. But it could just be an AI photograph, I suppose.
quaint theater, we settled into creaky seats, the air filled with the aroma of popcorn. As the lights dimmed, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. A man sitting alone in the back row drew my attention. He wasn't engrossed in the movie, but rather fixated on us. Attempting to dismiss my unease and thinking that I was just being paranoid, I focused on the movie. However, a growing discomfort accompanied me as I noticed the man gradually moving closer. My whispers to Mark went unanswered. He was really into the movie and told me that I was imagining things. Halfway through the movie, the man moved a few more seats and got even closer to us, prompting my insistence to leave. Mark, though initially dismissive, eventually agreed to ease my anxiety. As we exited the theater into the cold night, the falling snow muffled the surroundings. To our surprise, the man emerged from the shadows, moving swiftly towards Mark. I watched in horror as Mark struggled with the stranger and yelled for me to run for help. In desperation, I sprinted to a nearby cafe where I pleaded for assistance. A few good Samaritans joined me, and together we rushed back over to the theater. The collective shout startled the man, and he fled into the night. Mark and I, shaken but unharmed, thanked our newfound allies. The incident left us puzzled, wondering about the man's motives and the cryptic warning from earlier. Returning home, we found comfort in a cup of tea as we talked about what had happened earlier that night. Mark apologized for doubting my initial concerns. As we reflected, the unanswered questions lingered. Was the man truly a stranger, or did he know something we didn't? The unsettling thought of the mysterious text came back up. Could it have been a prelude to what had just happened? The night concluded with uncertainty as we stared out the window, wondering if the shadows held secrets we may never uncover. It was Christmas
You know, yeah, that was definitely an eerie one. Yeah, I suppose it's always creepy whenever whenever there's no motive really, or there's no apparent motive, and someone's actions, they're just doing it for some twisted reason in their own head. Maybe they were bored, maybe they knew her or him personally, or through another. Who knows? You could go into various things, especially if you're writing fiction. You could probably go into various details where he could have been hired by someone, or to do something either to him or to her for someone else who does know them or has a grudge against them for something. There's many ways I suppose you could look at it. Still writing myself and trying to get published. I can understand you kind of go into this backstories of characters and trying to work out the best connections that can happen between an antagonist and your protagonist in the story, and what can happen, and basically you look over the background and try and tell the story in a way keeps the reader kind of gripped, But who knows? There's various things you could look at. But if that was obviously based on a true story, which based on people bringing in stories to likes of Twisted Tales, who tells them in this way, definitely creepy, and definitely would. I'd love to know how they would have got her number, write that text, things like that. This is why you start wondering whether it's someone who she knows that has given this details to him in order to find her or stalk her or whatever. So yeah, very creepy. I would still, I don't know, not sure the first one would still be the better one for me at the moment. Maybe something similar, but we'll see what the third one's like here out of the four.
It was Christmas Eve, and our family was on our way to Aunt Margaret's home at the outskirts of the small town where I spent most of my childhood. Her home was nestled in a secluded snowy landscape. Her wooden house was transformed into a winter wonderland, adorned with frosted pine trees. The twinkling lights outside created a welcoming and festive atmosphere. Aunt Margaret, the epitome of holiday cheer, was always the hostess of our Christmas gatherings. Brittany, my energetic cousin, brought excitement to our family affairs, always looking forward to the holidays with infectious enthusiasm. Meanwhile, Uncle David, a seasoned traveler, contributed captivating tales from his journeys around the globe, bridging the generational gap in our family. Upon arrival, we immediately set to work preparing for Christmas. The cozy interior embraced us, filled with the scent of pine from the Christmas tree and the warmth of the fireplace. Aunt Margaret, in her element, meticulously adorned each corner of the house with festive decorations. Uncle David regaled us with stories about Christmas celebrations worldwide, adding a unique flavor to our family gatherings. Taking charge of the fireplace, I ensured a warm and inviting ambiance. As the aroma of roasting turkey and baking gingerbread filled the house, we all shared memories of years gone by, creating a comforting sense of nostalgia. The dinner table, laden with an abundance of food, resembled a feast from a movie, a delicious golden brown turkey, steaming vegetables, and an array of holiday treats. Laughter and conversation filled the cabin as we sat around the table, sharing stories, jokes, and memories. Aunt Margaret, with her eyes twinkling, led the conversation, revisiting past Christmases with heartwarming anecdotes. The house resonated with joy and togetherness, turning our family gathering into something truly special. Just as we settled down to watch a classic Christmas movie, an unexpected knock at the door disrupted the calm evening. It was surprising, given the snowy night. Curiosity filled our eyes as we looked at each other. Standing outside was a shadowy figure, barely visible in the dim light. Uncle David, cautious yet kind, went to see who it was. The visitor, named John, explained that his car had broken down nearby. There was a brief discussion about whether to invite him inside. Brittany, always compassionate, argued in favor of helping John, while Aunt Margaret exercised caution, considering our safety.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we decided to invite John in, as he appeared genuinely cold and weary. As John stepped into the warmth of the house, gratitude filled his eyes, and he began to thank us for allowing him to come inside. He shared his journey, recounting how he ended up stranded on Christmas Eve. Initially, his stories seemed typical of a traveler, but as the night progressed, something about John began to feel off. His narratives became inconsistent, and he eyed the house in a way that unsettled us. In the kitchen, Uncle David discreetly called the local towing service to check if anyone had reported a broken-down car. To our surprise, there was no record of such an incident. Doubt began to cast a shadow over John's authenticity. Aunt Margaret and Uncle David, sharing a concerned glance, decided to question John further. His answers grew vague, and he seemed uncomfortable. The once warm and cozy atmosphere transformed into one of tension. Brittany, who initially felt sorry for John, now looked worried. I watched quietly, uncertain about the stranger who had entered our Christmas Eve celebration. The situation escalated when Uncle David pointed out the inconsistencies in John's story. Aunt Margaret slipped away into the kitchen and called the cops. John's demeanor had changed, and he appeared scared, angry, and even desperate. The house, previously filled with Christmas cheer, now felt like a very different place altogether, a place tinged with danger. Suddenly, the distant sound of police sirens filled the air. John, realizing he couldn't escape, seemed to give up. Uncle David stood in his way as the police arrived. Upon questioning, John's facade crumbled, and we later found out that he was a career con artist and that the police were looking for him. We were all relieved as the police cuffed him and took him away. Afterward, we gathered in the living room, reflecting on the bizarre turn of events. Our Christmas Eve had become a real-life lesson about kindness and caution. Though the night had taken an unexpected turn, it definitely strengthened the bonds within our family. We all talked about the unpredictability of life, and we ended the night, feeling grateful for the safety and unity we found within our family. The deceptive Christmas Eve had taught us valuable lessons about compassion, discernment, and the resilience of family ties. 5 years ago.
That's number 3 then. That was a good one. I think that one was definitely probably better than the 1 and 2 was something on a similar scale in terms of my own liking of it. They're all very good so far, but yeah, I think that third one was quite good. Even coming from a point that you're trying to enjoy Christmas. Obviously, we're getting near that stage now, but I just wanted to put this up a little bit earlier. I will have other ones, of course, as the weeks go on to the end of the year, but I wanted to put it up just to say, I'm sure there'll be a few more kind of winter horror stories coming out. But yeah, that one was quite good. We'll see how number 4 goes, and we'll see where they all go. I think the third story would be my first one at the moment, and then obviously 2 and 3. But we'll see what number 4 is like here. So let's get into it.
During the holidays, I decided to visit my family who lived nearly 15 hours away.
Ooh,
normally I'd tough it out in one long drive,
yeah.
But an early snowfall changed my plans. The snow and ice made the roads slicker and slower, so I anticipated stopping at a hotel along the way. I hadn't booked anything in advance, opting to pull into any available hotel whenever I felt the need to rest. When I left, the snowfall was minimal, but as I drove further, it intensified, making the drive more challenging. Around 8 hours into my drive, frustration set in as I realized I hadn't even reached the halfway point. It was now 9 p.m. Though the snow had started to ease up a bit, it accumulated on the roads without any sign of plow trucks. Determined to get closer to my destination, I drove until about midnight. Finally admitting defeat, I pulled off at the next exit, leading me to a desolate motel in the midst of the snowstorm. The motel was a long one-story building with around 10 rooms. Its exterior exuded age with dim, half-burnt lights on the sign. I parked near the rooms and walked up to the main entrance. Inside, a small room with a front desk greeted me, but a sign reading, "Be back in 15, with a picture of a coffee cup, suggested the attendant was on a break. So I returned to my car, and as I surveyed the parking lot, I noticed its emptiness. No cars, and it seemed like no one had been there for a while. I started to have doubts, and I briefly wondered if the sign was genuinely for a break, given the absence of any other vehicles. Despite the lack of options within 15 minutes, I felt a chill as I sat in my car waiting for the attendant. Hours later, I woke up to a new snowstorm and a shocking discovery: a man peering into my driver's side window. Startled, he walked away and signaled to another man by a truck on the other side of my car. The situation escalated quickly as they attempted to break into my car. I was now terrified and I tried to escape, but the thick snow impeded my progress. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, one man smashed the back window as I struggled to free my car. Finally gaining some traction, I sped away, narrowly avoiding what I am sure was a dangerous encounter. Although this attack wasn't entirely my fault, I couldn't help but to feel that I had let myself become vulnerable. Without a doubt, those men were prepared, and it seemed like they knew the motel parking lot was an easy target. I never figured out what their motives were, and it left me haunted by the mystery of that dark, snowy night.
Yeah. That one was interesting. Yeah, quite good. One of it means then that he fell asleep at some point and woke up then to someone peering in the driver's side window. But you'd wonder, like, this one thing, I mean, especially if it's America or a place like that where, you know, you expect all these small hotels to be fairly busy, especially coming up to Christmas Eve. So the lack of cars around, you would kind of think would perhaps be a bit of a red flag in general, without thinking anything was going to happen. But either thinking the hotel obviously isn't great, or there's just something else going on. But you know, you could start going crazy and paranoid without thinking all these things without knowing anything in advance. But I would say just always be careful, I suppose, if you're out and about. If you're watching this and you're finding yourself out in the road near Christmas, no matter where in the world you are, just be wary of your surroundings and try not to be alone as well, I would say. But yeah, that one was good. I would still say the third one? Third one, I think, would have been maybe probably the best one for me there. And then probably, I suppose the other three were something similar. I'd put them all in second place. But there we are. That was quite good. So yeah, keep an eye for more of them with the next lot of weeks. I'll keep them going. And yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.